right, friends, I am back. We're going to try this again. I apologize for the difficulties there. Something just stopped working, but we think we have it figured out. So let's get back to making our picture frame card with the Elegant Frame collection. Just switch back here to the tabletop. There we go. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly at which point my camera stopped streaming. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit so that you can see what we've done so far. So we took our elegant rose frame and we have stamped it on our flower shaping paper in the Luxe Gold or the Encore Gold, and then we heat embossed it with the Ranger Gold ink. Now we did that and we went ahead and die cut it using both pieces, the outer and the inner. Then we took just the outer piece and we cut ourselves a frame right here. And I'm just, excuse me, I'm gonna pause just a second to look over here and make sure everything's still going. Okay, it looks like we are, so that's good. Do tell me in the chat if you see that it has stopped moving. So hopefully we're back up and going. All right. I'm trying to just check here. I'm having a hard time seeing the chat, so maybe it's not going yet. All right. Okay. All right, well, we'll just keep moving forward here. Okay, so the other thing we're going to do is we took the Have a Wonderful Day and we stamped that also in the Encore Gold and cut that out and heat embossed it there. And then from the ticket and tag set, we cut ourselves one of these in white, and using the Celebrate Love Sentiment sets, we stamped it with Happy Anniversary. Now, if you didn't want this to be used as an anniversary card, there are a lot of little sentiments that can fit in our little tag, like there's congrats, best wishes, there's some birthday. Just in all the sentiment sets, you'll find one or two that will fit in this little tag. So you could certainly, you didn't have to make this card into an anniversary card. In fact, towards the middle here, we'll discuss some other ideas with this particular card base. Okay, so right where I realized the camera was broken, we had started to use the Simply Elegant Classic frame. And on this one, we're going to cut this piece out one time in white. This right here, we're going to cut this one time in white. And that's going to give you this piece right here. And once we get them die cut, go ahead and set them aside. We're going to use these all when we get ready to assemble. And then the next one we're going to use, this piece right here, you're going to cut half of it out in the Luxe Gold cardstock, and then you're going to cut half of it out again in your white paper. So that's going to give you two of these half pieces. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to do with that is go ahead and glue these two together and layer them up with the white piece on top so that you see that pretty gold peeking out. I know we do this a lot, but that's because it's just so pretty. I can't hardly keep myself from doing this now. So there we go. We're going to glue this down right here onto this. And once you get that glued down, the next thing we're going to do is get our score board, and you're going to score this exactly in half. So I believe that's at the 3 1/4 mark. Will be completely in half, and fold that over, and that's going to give you this pretty base right here. So the two ends that were sticking out, go ahead and use your scissors to chop those off so that you have a nice clean back. Okay, so this is where we need to be. So the last die that we're going to use out of our classic, Simply Classic rectangle frame is this piece right over here. And I chose this piece for a reason. If you look at our rose frame, you can see that it has this nice concave shape to it. So our acetate, that gives our acetate a nice shape to fit inside our rose frame. So I use this piece to just cut a piece of acetate to that shape. And I have already run this through my die cut machine, so I'll take that off. And there we go. We've got our nice acetate window. Okay, so now we have most of our pieces. And let's go ahead and set these aside for a moment, and we're going to start making our one embellishment down here. We're going to make a classic rose. So it may have been a while since you've used your classic rose. I know sometimes I forget about this lovely flower. There's so many others to choose from that I use a lot, and it was really fun to pull out this classic rose and use it with this beautiful frame. So the first thing, this largest piece of the classic rose, we're going to stamp it twice, and I'm going to stamp it in the cactus flower. And whoops, there we go. Sorry, I'm just double checking to make sure we're up and running again. So we're going to stamp this piece twice in the cactus flower, and you can set that aside. And then this piece that stamps the 6 pieces at once, you're going to stamp that also in the cactus flower. And then the last one that we're going to do is this pretty leaf with the little curlicues that come off. We're going to stamp it twice in the emerald green. So this is all we're going to need here to make our flower. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, I can see comments again. Okay, over here on the side. There we go. Okay, I sure appreciate those of you that have stuck with me during the technology mess ups here. I don't know. I wish I understood this stuff better so I could maybe troubleshoot faster, but I'm still getting it all worked out. So let's go ahead and color up our roses. So I'm going to start with the magenta hue. And we're going to be extremely random with the way we apply our ink, okay? I want you to get some ink on your triangular dauber here, and we're literally going to just randomly rub it around, leaving plenty of white in and around. You kind of see how I did that? Like literally completely random. And you're just going to do that to all the flowers. And some areas can be darker, some lighter. You see how that is? Okay. Once you've done that to all of the petals, go ahead and set this aside. Now we're going to bring in this vivid chartreuse. And we're going to take our vivid chartreuse and do the exact same thing. We're just going to randomly, especially in those white spots, we're going to add the vivid chartreuse to our petals. And we're going to do that to all of the petals. So all of them will have that done. Now, if they look a little too green to you and you want to add a little more of the magenta hue, after I did my vivid chartreuse, I came back and in a few places just added a little more of the vivid chartreuse. Because when it's done, I want my rose to appear pink, but I wanted it to have those pretty lighter colors in there as well. So I also did concentrate a little heavier down in the center with the magenta hue. All right, so now we're going to come back with our emerald green. And we're going to just on the point of our triangular dauber, we're going to point that down and run it through our, so I just have ink right here on this tip. And right here, starting at the base of the leaf, I'm just going to pull out. And that is, and that's going to give us a nice dark center there on our leaf. And once I'm done there, then we're going to come back with the vivid chartreuse and fill in our leaf. And I just went ahead and hit those curlicues with some of that as well. Come back maybe with some of our this and hit the curlicues just to give them some dimension. All right, so that is all we're going to do to color them up. You can go ahead and die cut all of these. Now, once we have them die cut, they're going to come out like this. And I want you to come back with your cactus flower, and we're going to do just the tips with our cactus flower. Okay. All right. If you're still here with me, I know a lot of you may have decided to try to catch it another time, but if those of you that are still here with me could give me a shout out, I see a few, but if you can let me know where you're watching from and kind of say hello, that'll give me an idea of who's out there still stayed with me. So, okay, once you get your flowers to this point, go ahead and add some cactus flowers just out there on the tips. And I love blending that cactus flower into that vivid chartreuse. It gives you some really pretty coloration on these petals. All right, so the classic rose, of course, had been out for a while, but they have come back and they made a mold to go with the classic rose, and I'm so glad. So we have the 3D shaping mold, and you're definitely going to want to have this. It makes making roses so much faster and definitely easier on your fingers. So go ahead and layer in all of your pieces into your mold, and everything goes face down. And you can see I already have, and I have run my mold through my die machine with a plate on the top and the plate on the bottom. So all of my pieces are ready to go. There we go. Love this mold. This may be one of my favorite molds because I had to make hundreds of roses one time for a wedding, and boy, my fingers hurt. If anybody's ever done that, you know what I mean. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get out my deluxe flower shaping kit. If you don't have one of these, if you're new to flower making, this is a must-have for flower making. And within the kit, it comes with everything you need. It's got a piercing mat. You've got this beautiful stylus that has the little rubber on the places where your fingers go, which make it way easier on your fingers. And the tip is magnetic, so you can change out both ends of the sizes of the tip. And they even have a quilling tip in there for you if you ever need to do that action. So the Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit is a must-have if you want to learn to shape flowers. All right, so we're just going to add a little bit of pressure right there in the center to pop some of these up on these larger ones. And as it goes smaller in size, add a little more pressure, because on your very base, you don't need it popped up very much, but as you get smaller, we're going to pop up more and more. So I'm actually going to, when I get to this size, I'm actually going to start turning it over and popping on the other side, because I'm going to use those the other direction. Okay. Now, the flower that I've used here on our main is actually the next size down. So this one I'm going to set aside because we're actually going to be making it a little bit smaller. Now, if I wanted to make the largest rose, I would put 2 layers of this size. But since I'm making the next size down, I'm going to use 2 layers of each size. So you can kind of see here the ones I'm going to use. So we've got 2, 2, 2, and 2. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat gun. Now I'm only going to use my glue gun for the smallest pieces here to make the bud for the middle. I'm going to go ahead and use my Dry's Clear Glue to combine these on this end. Oh, and you know what? I think I want this one to be the base because it's a little darker in color. I like these light green leaves up a little higher, so I'll go ahead and do that. So when you put these together, you just want to offset those petals, of course. There we go. Okay. I like to really press down in there to get myself a nice cupped area to set my bud. Can you kind of see that? All right. All right, now to do this part, I like to angle it up this way. And I'm going to put just a little bit of hot glue in there. But before I do that, I'm going to take this one and really just roll it in my fingers to get that to get those petals to kind of get the shape that I want. You see that? And on this one, I'm going to bring it together but we're gonna add a little bit of glue in there. And we're gonna put this one down inside. See that? Okay. I'll hold those tight for just a second to get that all in there. I know you can't see because my fingers are in it, but I'm just holding that down in there to give that the shape I want. Now I'm going to just put a teeny tiny little dab of glue inside because I just want that to hold in there when I bring that up. I'm trying not to burn myself, but that happens sometimes. So once I get that done, I'm going to bring that all up, and now I'm going to use my hot glue again just to put a dollop of hot glue inside there. And now this pretty little tight bud that I've made, we're just going to set that down inside. And there we go. We have our rose. All right. Not too hard. Doesn't the mold just make it so much easier to create the beautiful roses? So I'm going to go ahead. This is one that I made that has the other layers. And you can kind of see that bud down in there a little better. All right, now we're going to use 2 of these. And we are going to kind of cut these up and put our florals in different ways, so, or put our leaves at different angles and such. So yes, I love the rose too, Carol. Yes. Oh, thank you. Kirsten says she's in Germany. She says she's tired, but she loves to watch. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. You know, when I have technical difficulties, it kind of throws me off my game and shakes me up a little bit. So thank you so much for hanging with me and cheering me on through the technical issues. All right, so we're done with our glue gun. I don't think, well, no, we may need it again towards the end, but I'm done with it for now, so I had to set that aside. So let's get out all of our pieces here. We've got our rose, our 2 leaves, my acetate window, and whoops, I'm gonna set this aside. You know what, I already made this one, so this is what we're gonna need now. Okay, here we go. So before we go any further, we're gonna take our beautiful Have a Lovely Day and open up our card so that the fold is on the top, and I'm going to glue this on the inside. I just thought that was a wonderful message to a couple having their first wedding anniversary, is to just enjoy the day together. So this is going to be my sentiment, and I just love that it had the pretty roses that match the outside of the card in there with it. Now I was thinking of other occasions where I would use this card design, and my other daughter-in-law is actually she is pregnant right now with my second granddaughter, and I thought, what a lovely design to send like baby announcements. You know, if you're having a little girl, that is, it might be nice to put a picture of the baby in here and to send out something like this. And you could put maybe like one of the little critters from Tender Moments or something with it. And this would make a very nice baby announcement design where the person could then stand up the card and enjoy looking at that picture of that new baby. So anyway, that's just another idea for this design. So that's where we're going to start with our sentiment inside. So if you can think of other ideas where it would be fun to send a picture frame along with built into your card, go ahead and pop that in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add our acetate on the front. And so to do that, I'm going to turn it over this way, and I'm going to come in with some of my score tape. Now you can use glue to do this, but if you have double-sided tape, it just takes care of the risk of having glue ooze out on your acetate. That is really the only reason why using the double-sided tape is a little safer. But if you don't have that product, you feel free to use the other. Now, you can see this nice straight line along here. That's kind of where I put my adhesive so that you can't see it. And then I'm also going to put one right down here. All right, there we go. So now that I have that on, we're going to go ahead and add our acetate. All right, now after I did this, I realized you probably could get away with doing this if you don't have acetate. I mean, when I think of a window frame or a picture frame, I think of it having the plastic on the front. But if you didn't have plastic, you could so totally do this and leave the acetate out of it. I didn't really think of that until later, but that is certainly doable if you don't want to mess with the acetate. It might protect the picture a little better, but I mean, it would work just fine without that step. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is add our picture. So this was my my younger son and his bride, but I also have this picture of my older son and his lovely wife JC, and so I'm going to go ahead and put their picture here in this picture frame. Now, the way I did it is I kind of laid it in here, and you can see up here this top rose, I had to kind of trim it off because it stuck down just a little too far in their face. And you might have to trim some of these depending on your picture. So I'm going to go ahead and do that step. Do it up here where y'all can see it. And I just carefully kind of trimmed that out, and you won't even notice. So if you feel like any of these others need to be trimmed off, like this leaf right here is just a little bit in my daughter-in-law's face, so I'm just going to go ahead and snip that off. And when it's done, you're not going to be able to notice that. But this is about where I'm going to want my picture. So I'm going to take a pen here, or pencil, and just kind of mark where these corners are so that I can trim my picture down. And now I'm just going to use my paper trimmer. Here it is. And I'll trim this picture down real quickly to be the size that I need for my frame. So we are finally starting to get a little cooler here in Texas. Oh, someone said shower invites would be cute. Yes, it would. Yeah, if you had a really pretty like engagement photo. Yeah, what a great idea. I knew that y'all would be able to come up with wonderful ideas for this. Okay, I think that should be about right. I may have to trim off a little bit more. We'll see. Now you can see in my design over here in the very corners, you know, the picture does show through, but when you're looking at it overall, you don't notice that. So it's not like you have to be real fussy about how you put your picture down. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more score tape in the same places that I did before. Whoops. Yeah, shower invites, engagement photos. Oh, you guys you come up with just great ideas. I love all those. I knew as soon as I saw this collection that this is what I wanted to do with it. So I'm glad that it came together. And I hope that some of you will give it a try. There we go. Now, I'm going to take my acetate off, or not acetate, I'm going to take the papers off, and then instead of, this is the way I'm going to do it. Instead of going it this way where I would stick their heads in the wrong place, I'm going to lay it down like this. I got some tape on my finger. And go ahead and position that just so. Hopefully, yes, there we go. All right. Now to finish this off, I'm going to attach it to the frame. I got a little bit of crumbs in there. Okay, now for the attaching of the frame, I'm going to go ahead and use some a little bit larger score tape. And I'm just going to put it right there in the middle. Now again, you could use your wet glue for this, but acetate kind of slides around on wet glue, so you kind of have to hold it steady for a little bit until that glue dries, and you know, that can take a while. So that's one of the reasons I like to use the score tape or the double-sided adhesive. All right, so now just going to line that up. And there we go. We have our picture frame portion of our card done. So the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape just right here where my frame is going to sit. And the first time I did this, I added my foam to this piece and then tried to put it in place. And of course I got my foam too high. So that's why I'm doing it this way now, so that I save myself the grief of having to trim that off. So I'm going to put it fairly high there, up towards I'm putting my foam up close to the thing, and now I can just position this where I want it. Now the way I did this before, I went ahead and let the frame come down into this decorative place because I wanted this to fit in a 5x7 envelope. So I kind of measured, you know, how tall that needed to be to fit in a 5x7. Now, if you're not wanting to mail it, you wouldn't have to do that. You could raise this up and give yourself a little more room, and you could maybe add multiple flowers down there if you wanted to, or some other kind of image. But that was just some ideas. Okay. All right, so there we go. Now the next thing we're going to do, we've got these few pieces left right here. We are almost done with this. I'm going to go ahead and add my leaf, and the first one I'm just going to go ahead and add it just the way it comes. And I did it a little bit off to the right. And now this one I'm going to chop that off just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to put it kind of over this way. I kind of liked having a little more greenery showing there. All right, and I may come back in with this leaf. We'll see how that looks when it's all done. And I'm going to turn my glue gun back on here just to add my flower. The roses are, you know, you could add them with the wet glue. You just want to hold it down for a little bit and give that time to dry in there. Oh, thank you, Kirsten. She said this is a beautiful, elegant card. Well, I can tell you the elegant rose frames made it very easy to make an elegant card because the artwork is so lovely. The detail in the leaves and the roses, it was just really easy to make an elegant card. So, all right. There we go. Now I have one more. Almost forgot this little piece. Sorry. We're almost done. There we go. So I'm going to put just a little bit of hot glue just right here on that end. And now I'm just going to poke it right up in there so that the little happy anniversary is just coming down right there. And you know what? Now that I look at it, I think I do want to add just a little bit more. I'm going to add this other leaf in there. Because once I added my anniversary, it kind of covered up some of it. So I'm going to tuck in this other leaf. That's what I had to do last time too. After I got the tag on there, I saw I wanted a little bit more. So, okay, there we go. Another elegant frame. I'm really excited about this idea. I'm looking forward to using it in some of these other ways. All right. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back here and, oh, you know what? Before I switch back, I wanted to show you some other cards that I had made using the elegant rose frame. So here's one. I loved the frame sitting on the black. I thought that was a really fun way. And this one, I used ink to color it. And then here's one, kind of a similar idea where I put it on gold. And then this one, instead of heat embossing it with gold, I heat embossed it with some hot pink. So I thought that was fun. So I've been having a really good time with these frames, and I'm looking forward to sharing a project with you using the other frame that comes, the stylish rose frame as well. We're going to do that in a few weeks. So. All right, well, thank you so much for sticking with me through the technical difficulties, and I hope that you love this elegant rose frame idea. The collection has just been released, and the I Want It All is available through the weekend and while supplies last. So if you're loving these cards, do head over to the website and check that out. Now, if you are an Insider member, you can save your 20% on top of the discount that is already built into the I Want It All price, so that can help you get that collection at some discount. So, all right, well, I hope you all have a lovely day, and thanks again. Whoops. There we go. Thanks again.